Hi.
Nice to meet you, Trey.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's
Well,
great to be here.
yesterday I got the chance to really tap in with Alyssa King, and it's great because y'all all came through to the Black Media Matter Studios, and you're like, look, this is real easy for you. And so where I was just talking to you about, yeah, it's experience, it's doing it over and over again.
Right.
But I want to hear from you. What made you say, I am an artist, and I want to hone in on my artistry?
Um, I would definitely say that the first thing that caught my eye when it came to art um, was simply sound design and how it made me feel. Um, I grew up watching a lot of shows and listening to a lot of old school music with my parents. So, having that connection to music um, that really impacts my emotion is what made me want to dive deeper into it and kind of explore what it could do for me. So, yeah.
Wow, sound. It's just cool to hear about because it's like normally it's like, oh, it's because I love the guitar or oh, because I love to write. You're
Yeah.
like, it's all about sound for me. Tell me more in particular about some of the things that you were able to pick up on in some of the old school music you were listening to with your parents.
Um, I would say a lot of the lessons that the music had, even though, maybe I was young, I didn't understand everything, it was really about innately how it made me feel and what that would teach me about myself. Um, so, funk music like Parliament, Erica Badu, Sade, Jasmine Sullivan, the whole nine, it got me more in tapped with my feelings. And so, yeah, it kind of taught me how to keep a level head.
Music can do that, right? They say music soothes the soul.
Hmm.
And honestly, I love hearing you as a young person talk about some of the older school music. And I love that when my kids start listening to old school stuff because I feel like music has changed a lot. But to know that you have that solid foundation about lyrics and the story behind the music is so important for young folks to be creating that kind of music. So when you are now at the residency, I want to hear more about your experience there. How is it really helping you to hone in on that talent and on that interest?
I mean, shoot, the residency, it's a multifaceted, nonprofit. It's a multifaceted program. You get to learn not only about, the business side of things, but you get awesome mentors like Jace. You get your Jaces, your Alyssas, your Amirs, all types of people, and then of course you have the peers that you learn from. Um, so it's it's kind of like honing in on your sense of self and direction, and it's kind of giving you guidance in a way that helps you focus on what you really need to focus on.
Yeah. Well, also really diving into, again, the interest.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, I think a lot of times, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but young folks are like, look, school doesn't care about what I love or what I'm interested in.
Yeah,
We've seen a lot of schools, particularly public schools, their funding gets cut for art, you know? And for those who find themselves very creative, it sometimes is difficult to navigate all of the, mundane academics that you need to have, right? In order to
definitely.
graduate, you need those credits, right?
Come on.
But it's great to know that a program like the residency can kind of fill that void so that you can feel like now in this space, I get to focus on what I love. Tell me more about some of that and how maybe some of the other cohort members that you're with are experiencing that level of intentionality to focus in on your creativity.
Um, well, I know when I was going through school, I had a very difficult time just in general dealing with the system of schooling. Of course, a lot of kids go through depression and all sorts of, needing for this kind of social reform or social change. Um, and music and creativity gives you space to express yourself, um, but also kind of resolve those issues. Um, I think a lot of people, young people who go through school and are creatives, even if they're not, they go to music as a source of reprieve. So um, one of my friends, Calum, uh, also known as K-Bread, he went to Garfield and he had a music program, and the teacher was getting underpaid. Um, you know, and the whole program pretty much got shut down. Um, but then out of that, he came to the residency. So if that didn't happen, then the residency wouldn't have uh, been able to be open to him. But it's just certain things like that that tell you the real importance of music in young folks' lives, especially in the Black community, and when it comes to the school to prison pipeline, and the whole rabbit hole. So.
Oh, you're a young genius over here, Durojaiye, and I appreciate that you're bringing that perspective. I think so many young people sometimes feel that pigeonhole, right? Of like, oh man, they want to put me in a box, and creatives just. That's the thing. I remember for myself as a young person, I was grateful that I still had the access to the creative structure that Garfield provided at the time. A phenomenal mentor of mine, Justin Emeka, was able to really, give us opportunities where we got to write our own pieces, go out and, perform them. And that was something that I go to now, even as an adult. I'm like, that time was so anchoring to me. Since you've been a part of the residency, what are some of the highlights that you've been able to experience?
Shoot. Definitely when we went to New Orleans, we got to perform at New Orleans for the Flip Festival. Um, you know, different shows around Seattle, being able to perform there. I would say most of the highlights, though, come from the summer program, the summer intensive program. You get to meet a lot of cool people. You get to work on music. It's pretty much a dream come true. It's almost like too good to be true. But, it's that and it being free and accessible to youth is pretty much perfect. And I would say it's like one of the most highlighting parts of the residency, in my opinion.
That summer intensive, it gets real when school is out and you have the opportunity to really focus in on a day in, day out basis. Plus, y'all are around some phenomenal mentors. I mean, you mentioned, Jace and Amir, even Alyssa. I know other cohorts have been able to be like around Macklemore. Just the idea of not only the level of mentors you have, but also the professional equipment. I mean, y'all are working on the things that, full-fledged producers, artists, singers and rappers and everyone in between, they're using the same tools y'all are using. How does that feel for you as you're like learning all of these amazing dope tools?
Definitely as like an artist, especially a young or new artist, it kind of makes you feel very appreciated and very cared for. Makes you feel like you're being taken seriously, and then it also pushes you. If you don't feel like where you're at, it pushes you to get better and pushes you to prove to yourself how much you really want to work on music and how much you really want to, you know, be inside of this business and really work for it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that perspective because, sometimes how else can you get there if you're not exposed to these kinds of tools and opportunities? Before I let you go, I got to ask, what kind of music are you creating, Durojaiye? I mean, are you like somebody who's writing songs? Are you singing? Are you flowing? What are you doing up in the booth?
For the most part, I'm a songwriter and producer. I do rap and sing, but yeah, practicing trumpet currently. Um, I actually just released a new single and a beat tape, so um, been working on mostly my production game, trying to get like Jay Dilla's, you know, people like that, the Erica Badu's and things of that nature. But yeah, just working on mastering my craft right now.
Right on, Durojaiye. We need more like you. We need more of you to have that Jay Dilla reference man in your back pocket.
There's
Because
plenty of
everyone knows
plenty.
he's a straight legend, when it comes to producing. Well, of course, I got to give you the opportunity to look right there in the camera. You just said you just released a new project. How can people tap in with your music and your artistry? How do they connect with you? Look right there. Let them know.
You can tap in with me on Instagram at ges.uno. Just released a beat tape called Good Eats. It's out on Bandcamp. It's only $10 right now. It's about to be free in a month. But tap in with that. My Twitter at Covet, Covet Catcher. And yeah, tap in with the residency and the summer intensive program.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. And thank you for, connecting with the residency and not hoarding your talent to yourself, but bringing it out so we can all
course.
experience you. Thank you
Of
so
course.
much for being with me today.
Thank you, Ms. Trey.
Absolutely.